Hi there, I'm Matt with State of Flux, here with a review for M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, Old. This film is kind of getting a mixed response online, but let's face it, most of Shyamalan's movies do, certainly after The Sixth Sense. I will say I landed in the camp that it's pretty good. But I'll also say that I'm firmly in Shyamalan's camp as well. I wasn't always. He and I parted ways for a good period there. However, around The Visit, I kind of circled back around on Shyamalan and thought that, sort of reassessed his entire filmic work and saw him as like a modern-day Rod Serling delivering a new Twilight Zone every couple of years. New installments, if you will. And I sort of stand by that. Old fits very much into the Shyamalan template. And most of his films work as a mystery, right? With a twist. And how you respond to that twist is how you respond to the film as a whole. And pretty much since Unbreakable, certainly The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, he gave you all the clues in the narrative to sort of piece together what that twist was eventually going to be, and you'd be able to, as an audience, possibly deduce what was going to happen. Post Unbreakable, that's not really been the case. Something fantastical happens at the very end that kind of recontextualizes everything you've just watched. This happened with The Visit, with Split, with Glass, with Signs, with multiple times in The Village, and various other films of his. This one definitely lives into that, but what Old is really about is the old adage that time heals old wounds, all wounds. And he really kind of harkens into that sort of main theme in really interesting ways. The film also is elevated by three fairly strong performances. Thomasin McKenzie and Alex Wolff play adolescents growing rapidly into maturity, and they carry the emotional heft of the film. And the film really kind of lives and dies on their shoulders. But it's Gael Garcia Bernal who gives a truly strong performance, as he usually does. He's a tremendous actor. But there's a moment towards the end of this film where the emotional heft of that scene is very palpable. Old is first and foremost a horror movie. It's sort of a body horror movie, Cronenberg style in some ways. Though slighted down to a PG-13. However, it could also play equally as a comedy. And I had an epiphany about Shyamalan during this film. I mentioned in the past that I've sort of seen him as a modern-day Rod Serling, but what the epiphany that I kind of had is that Shyamalan writes these characters and the scenarios, and he creates all these multitude of characters that all seem not that dissimilar to how Shyamalan sort of acts and portrays himself in interviews and stuff like that. Different reflections of his own self. So he posits these other tiny little character traits, and his main goal is to provoke a reaction. Now, horror and comedy tend to go hand in hand. It's all about a rise to a release, right? I don't think Shyamalan cares anymore, or if he ever even really did, what reaction he gets, just that he gets a reaction. Because in the screening of Old that I had, simultaneously in scenes that are horrific, you would get people who were giving the appropriate reaction and the people who were laughing hysterically. And the ripples of laughter carried throughout the crowd, but I would say in an equivalent amount of the shock sounds or the grips of fright. I feel like Shyamalan's just got to a point in his career where he's just looking, he's gone so far into the absurdist kind of territory with the dialogue that's there on the page that he has these characters say. wanting to get that reaction, not caring in the least what it is. He's becoming sort of an excellent absurdist filmmaker, and I really appreciate that. Now, I will say that Shyamalan typically gets criticized for his dialogue, and kind of rightfully so. It's unlike anything you've ever heard, because nobody talks like that. This is as unique as George Lucas dialogue, in a lot of ways. However, there's a uniqueness to it that I do really appreciate. And so I found myself really responding well to Old. It's not a perfect movie. It is overlong, especially it's only like 95 minutes or something like that. But the first 20 minutes or so really take a while. But I give the movie 3 out of 4 stars. It's definitely worth your while, especially if you are a Shyamalan fan. And to support a filmmaker who's presenting new and interesting ideas. That's something we should really rally around. And so that's why I'm back in the Shyamalan camp, and I'd like to see you there too. What did you think of Old? Did you laugh more than you were scared? Were you scared more than you laughed? Yeah. Another mild criticism that I just want to end with is these people are rapidly aging throughout the film. There is no consistency to how anybody ages. Some people age rapidly, some people don't. However, they're supposed to be consistently aging. It's a thing. And then they have a throwaway expository pseudoscience dialogue to explain why hair doesn't gray or anything like that. It's all hokum. But like, by that point, the movie you either go with or you've rejected at that point. That said, see Old. See it in a theater, see it with an audience. Audience reaction is fantastic, especially in my theater. Hopefully you get a chance to get out and see this one. Thanks for watching.